Hello, welcome to the Douglas Take Video Podcast. I'm your host, Aide Juarez Valerio, and today we have a very important conversation about special education services. And for that, we have two special guests, Florence Puerto-Papas, Director of Student Services. Hey, Florence, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. We're honored to be here.
Thank you. And Sarah Altig, Assistant Director of Student Services. How are you doing, Sarah?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Florence and Sarah, tell us a little bit about you, just about yourself and what you do for our school district.
I am, this is my 31st year in David Douglas, starting year 31. It's been a long time. I started off teaching middle school and have held a couple of different positions here. I've been in the Student Services Department for the last probably 15 years or so. And I have been the Director of Student Services for the last 4 or 5. Our department supports special education. It supports our counselors. It supports mental health. It supports behavior. It supports substance use, nurses, health assistants. It supports TAG, early childhood, our MECP program, so our early learners, attendance, and we encompass quite a bit. But specifically with special education is what we're here for today. But 31 years all in David Douglas, I would not want to be anywhere else. I'm a mom. I've got two daughters who are off kind of growing and trying to figure out what to do with their lives. And I love learning and I'm curious about everything. Yep.
All right. Well, you already introduced me, Sarah Altig. I like my little elevator speech is that I am a product of David Douglas. I went to David Douglas K-12, went off to school, came back, was a special educator for about 14 years in our district. This is my 23rd year. That's weird for me to say. I've been an educator in the district longer than I was a student. But David Douglas is home to me. This is my place. These are my people. This is my family. So that's my little elevator pitch speech about, my history in David Douglas. But like I said, I was a special educator in a self-contained classroom for about 14 years. I was a behavior specialist in our district. And then I've been in student services as an administrator the last 6 years. So special education is my background, and that's what I bring to the table in student services is a lot of the special education world. In my free time, I'm raising 2 children myself. One's a boy, one's a girl. They're both in high school, so I'm busy outside of work with their lives. We met at Alisat Middle School in early 2000s.
Your first year, so 23 years ago.
Dating myself here. Yeah, so we met at Alisat, became fast friends. She was the gen ed teacher. I was the sped teacher. My kiddos went to her. Yep. It was a thing. We became fast friends. So we've worked together for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then Florence, you were math teacher at Alisat.
Math, journalism, and Spanish.
That's right. I forgot about that.
A little bit of social studies.
Yeah.
And then did some code teaching.
PBIS.
Yeah.
And you were special education.
I was special education. And then our program got moved over to Ron Russell at one point. And then I became a leadership teacher there along with teaching our sped class. Wow. And so kind of done the whole gamut along with you.
Yeah.
So
a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for everything that you do.
Of course.
You bring a plethora of information and vast knowledge just because of your experience in David Douglas. So thank you. Thank you for what you do. Before we start with the questions, Florence, you mentioned TAG. Can you please tell me what TAG is?
Yes. TAG is talented and gifted. And it is for students who are exceptional in an area. And what it specifically means is some students are incredibly gifted in a specific area of academia, and they need learning in a different way above and beyond what is typical curriculum. And Oregon has some standards around having individualized plans, also similar to special education, for students who need to take their learning to a higher level of thinking. And TAG is a service we provide in David Douglas, and it is available for all students. They test into it, and they can also get recommended. And we have a TAG coordinator who helps facilitate the process here in David Douglas.
Thank you for clarifying and explaining what TAG is. Okay, well, let's start with the questions about special education services. Are we ready? We also hear the terms IEP and 504 plans. IEP, you mentioned it's an individualized educational plan. Can you tell me what those terms mean?
Yeah.
I can start with the IEP. Sure. IEP is an individual education plan. Sometimes we hear individual education program, and that is a legally binding contract between the family and the school, and it outlines all of the students' present levels, their needs, where maybe some of their deficits might be, whether it's math or reading. Maybe the student needs some therapies, and that's listed on the IEP, as well as accommodations. The biggest part of the IEP is specially designed instruction, and so you'll hear the term SDI used a lot. And so that is what specific area are we going to work on extra to get that student perhaps up to grade level is kind of our target. So SDI is the biggest difference between an IEP and a 504, is that specially designed instruction.
And with the 504, a student is still has legal protections, but what that specifically focuses on is accommodations, which is access to their education, where an example for a parent to kind of understand is a student has a disability that is a lifelong, like long-term disability, but they may need, let's see, what would be an example of when a student may have anxiety, and they may need to take a break to be able to go do like breathing exercises, and they're not able to do them directly at their desk, and they need to have like special permission to maybe go to another space in the classroom to go do that, and then come back and go that. Or they may have diabetes, which is a health concern, and they need to go down to the office to go have their blood sugar taken, and then be measured, and then come back. And based on what their blood sugar is, they may need to have access to their medication or a snack to be able to get that blood sugar back in. So accommodations are all 504 directed. And an IEP, the difference with that is they have accommodations. They can also have a health plan attached to it, but that all is directed around SDI. So those are the two biggest differences between the two.
Okay, thank you. That's very clear. Now, at the school level, so think about the school level. Who's part of the special education team? So if a family has their student has an IEP, a plan, who is part of that team that can support the family when the family has questions about the student and just the plan itself?
So every student on an IEP is assigned a case manager, and that's your point person. So that's one person on the team. Also, there's an administrator on the team, your general education teacher, so your classroom teacher is on that team. The parent is a very important member of the team, and anybody that the parent wants to bring to those IEP meetings, they're also team members. And then if the student has anything like speech therapy or OT or PT,
Occupational therapy.
physical therapy, occupational therapy.
There go those letters again.
We'll say a lot of letters. So it just depends on what the student needs and then who's on their team. But the main cast members, if you will, are that case manager, the parent, the general education teacher, the administrator, and then any other educational professional that works with the child.
that's at the elementary level when students have generally one general education teacher. What happens at the middle school level and at the high school? Students go from having one teacher to multiple,
to many.
to many.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They're all invited.
They are all invited. The law requires a general education teacher who works with that student. What we guide our teachers for is really based on what is on the IEP. For example, if the student has math goals, the math teacher should be at the table. If the student has reading goals, then the English teacher should be at the table. So really looking at who it is. And if there are multiple goals, then all the teachers should be invited. But the law requires a general education teacher.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, you mentioned a parent can bring someone. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. A parent can bring advocates. A parent can bring, another family member to help interpret. Anybody that they're comfortable with sitting at the table that might have a voice with the team. So they're all team members if they come to that table. But yeah, anybody that the parent wants to bring, they can bring.
We do want to be really clear, though, that while the parent can bring somebody to interpret for them, that we provide our own interpreters for the meetings because we want to make sure that we're able to provide someone who can interpret the educational language around. There's a lot of special education language that somebody who the family might bring may not understand some of
the nuances,
the legal language and the nuances that we want to make sure that the parent can ask and really understand. But it's always nice for them to have someone they feel comfortable with. So we encourage that.
We just ask that if families do bring anybody else to the table, they just let the case manager know so we can invite them.
Okay.
And put that into our paperwork.
Okay. What if the parent cannot notify the case manager before the meeting? Can they still bring?
Yeah, we're never going to say no
Yeah.
to somebody coming to a meeting.
Except for in one case.
Unless there's a lawyer involved. We always need to know if they have a lawyer. We would always notify if we have a lawyer, but those are rare. So, yeah.
So if there is a lawyer involved and they want to bring their lawyer, it's okay if they do. Our guidance from our legal counsel is if you bring a lawyer, we have to bring ours. So we just have to have notice. But yeah, they're welcome to.
Now, that's, so the case manager is a person, that support person at the school level. What about at the district level? Yeah.
So because the ones who know the student best are the ones who are interacting with the student, are in the building and working with the student, we encourage it to stay at the lowest level possible. Sometimes, though, there are district level supports that are from the district. We have an autism consultant. We have student services TOSAs, which are teachers on special assignment who support the education process. It might be like a behavior specialist or like a behavior TOSA. Our occupational therapist, our physical therapist, our
Assistive technology
school
consultant.
psychologist, our assistive technology consultant, all of those are district level who support multiple schools, multiple buildings. On occasion, we may be requested to attend meetings, but really we want it to be a building level local decision. And then if there are concerns, we support as well, but we do encourage it to stay at the lowest level possible. The school administrator can serve as a district representative, which while it says district, it can really be the building administrator. Sometimes it's even the case manager.
Yep.
Thank you. So it's always questions, concerns. First, go to the case manager.
Yep.
And then from there to the building level.
Building administrator. And then oftentimes the building administrator then would bring us in if they need us.
Or the case manager.
Or the case manager.
And then sometimes our student services, teachers on special assignment attend as well. And then on occasion, we may as well.
Great. Thank you. Well, thank you, Florence and Sarah, for joining us today. We had a great conversation about student services. It's a very important conversation and topic that many families are interested in just learning more, especially because special education services, it's complex. It can be complex because of all the legal requirements involved, and want to appreciate both of you for coming. Is there anything else that you would like to add about special education services, about IEP, Individualized Educational Plan, 504s?
I think the really big part is that the parent is a real key part of the process, and so is the student. And to really work together with the school, because we're really partners in all of it. So
Well
it's a
said.
long process, and we're together in it for sometimes many years.
Our goal is to always work together. We're all one team. I think that's the biggest part of the IEP team,
Yeah.
is that we're together. It's not an us versus them, and that's our goal in anything that we do in student services.
Well, thank you. And thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope this information was helpful. Stay tuned because we will have a part 2 of this series, special education series. See you next time. Thank you.